Well, hello. No singing, no dancing, nothing. Hello, welcome to the Tequila Hour. My name is Amanda. It is Sunday, the 10th of March, believe it or not, 2024, here in Australia, New South Wales, secret location, The Forge. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I could talk about what I'm drinking today. No, I'm still not drinking, by the way. For those who are playing along, still drinking the ciders. And yes, I am fucking proud of myself for that. Even though it's not that. I don't know. Yeah, I've made some recent changes in my life and I'm feeling it. So, yeah, it's all good. But today's podcast is about not only about feeling good, but I want to talk about forgiveness. And yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit of a more serious podcast today. So if you haven't done so already, grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a snack or both, some ice cream, a chocolate, a teddy bear. I might need to grab by myself. And yeah, I'll share some experiences that I actually want to share today because, yeah, I do. Look, I could say that it has things have, not come to a head, but I acknowledge as part of a manifestation process that I'm doing today that I need to forgive. And I have to say to you that, and I've mentioned this as well, that there is things in my life that I'm working on at the moment, a lot of self-improvement, a lot of self-analysis, and working and creating and loving people and all of the above. And why I want to touch on this subject is because there is times when I've talked in podcasts where I'm just trying to search for that thing that perhaps is holding me back, or the thing that I just can't see and could be the explanation as to why. It could be there is no explanation to the why. It's more complex than that. I know that. Yet when I was thinking about it over the weekend in line with today and thinking about the set of intentions that I wanted to put out into the universe, I realized that I needed to forgive because I'm angry and there's frustration, let's say. We'll talk about that. There's frustration, and frustration is anger, and that's anger towards other people, and that's more importantly anger towards myself. Now, you don't have to be Einstein to work out that, there's themes that relate to that. If I was to say to you, guilt and anger often will correlate. They certainly do in my life. If you were to ask me in regards to outward appearances, would I appear to be an angry person? No. I would say to you, if someone was to describe me as a person, that they would say I was a happy person, and I am. Now I'm trying to convince myself. No, no, I am a happy person. If you asked someone describe my outlook and, interactions with me, you would say, I was pretty easygoing and I was happy and I don't know, maybe I come across intense, I don't know, motivated. That's a really good point. I should actually ask someone how they see me. And not just my husband, just someone, to say someone at work, how do you see me? Can you describe what you see when you see me? That's a great question, actually. I'm going to have to think about that. I'm getting off track. I want to talk about outward appearances. I would say to you that I would appear to be a positive person, and I am a positive person. When I say to you, though, that I am angry with myself and I'm angry at other people and frustrated, look, is it as intense as it sounds? Maybe. If I was to say ruminating it over and over again this weekend in light of, like I said, the intentions I want to set for myself, it really was the driving thought that now leads me to sit here today and talk about it. So let's talk about it. I want to talk about the meaning of forgiveness, and then I want to talk about myself. So going to Google, you know who, Mr. G, what is the definition of forgiveness? The definition, according to the Oxford Language Dictionary, is the noun, the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. And people also ask, what is the true meaning of forgiveness? What is forgiveness? Forgiveness means different things to different people, but in general it involves an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. I'm going to repeat that because it's highlighted. An intentional decision to let go of a resentment and anger. The act that hurt or offended you might always be with you. When I say that I'm still angry at my father for leaving me at the orphanage, clearly, when it was how many years ago? When I say to you I'm angry at myself for leaving my first husband and my children. When I say to you I'm angry at people at my work because I'm frustrated at them. When I say to you I'm angry and frustrated and disappointed and all of the above with my foster parents who became my adopted parents. More importantly, and I could harp on, I don't know why I've got the word harp in my mind. I keep saying, it keeps coming. Anyway, when I say to you, my father, what was that? That scared me. It was my stereo in the background because I was listening to meditation music before this. Just so you know, I could go on and on about my childhood, and that's not going to change anything. It is what it is, and it's happened and it's done and dusted. I'm now 51. It's not even about my childhood or my father or my mother or, my parents that came after that. It's not even about, look, I have frustration at work. I'm angry at certain people, which I need to let go of. I am angry at myself. And that basically means I need to forgive myself. So I have talked about this before. I have talked about my children very briefly. I have talked about my first husband. I think I touched on, and this is the thing, now when you've done so many podcasts, you can't remember what you actually talked about. Look, you do kind of, but look, there's certain things that, if you listen to this podcast on a regular basis, you'd understand there's a running theme here. So there's that. I want to talk about forgiveness and forgiving myself. Is it any easier to forgive the people at my work who've pissed me off? Not really. But I did learn something this weekend, and I already know this, but it was highlighted to me again, and I think it's sunk in a little bit more that we all have choices, and I've touched on this. You know, I can want you to be a certain way and do a certain thing, but you need to want that. And that then aligns with my work and people I interact with at work. And I realise it's not even that. It's just that the other point I heard was that you need to stop being angry at the people for not doing what you want. And it's so true. Why am I angry at this person when they are who they are? And then really that feeds into my anger at myself. So, yeah, when I say letting go of feeling anger and frustration at a particular person at my work, that's one level. And yeah, it just struck a chord with me. Why am I doing that? Why am I angry at this person? Because I'm frustrated at them, so how about I just have the grace and humility to just go, they are who they are, and stop being angry because it just makes me miserable. Me being angry at other people makes me miserable. It's making me miserable at work because it essentially is one person. And then if I was to then expand and expand and expand and expand again and again, really, really large, then I would say to you that I'm angry at myself. If I then went large, like the world, the earth, think of the earth in its glory, floating in the universe and then come back down. This is how I'm visualizing it. Like a waypoint in Google Maps, and you come all the way down and you land on yourself and you just look a bit closer. And I'm fucking angry at myself. And I'm frustrated. Why am I angry at myself? Because there's things that haven't happened that, you know, there was certain things that were in my control and there were certain things that are outside of my control as well. And yet I sit here today and say to you, I'm still angry at myself for the choices I made or the things that happened that were outside of my control. And when you say that out loud, I'm angry at myself for things that happened in my life that were outside of my control. Why? Why? Why am I making myself internally miserable and creating a barrier, a wall, fucking, what's the wall in the bloody a Game of Thrones? Yep, the ice wall. Is that what it was called? Anyway, the massive fucking wall. I'm picturing it in my mind. Why do we then create this? To then always have that as a barrier to other things that you, I don't know, are trying to accomplish in your life or to feel or understand or be a part of or be present in. So I sit here today and I'm going to talk about it. So there was a time in my life, I was married to my first husband. I had 3 children. I still have 3 children, technically. They don't live with me. I had pre- and postnatal depression with my 3rd son. My son's name is Roy. When I think back at that time, I was very unhappy. Was depressed, very unhappy, major depression. For quite some time before I even sought help. I was depressed during my pregnancy, even before my pregnancy. I had Roy, and I would say to you at the 4-month mark, I was a mess. I sought medical help. I was put on medication. It made me worse. I can't even remember the name of the medication. It made me worse. It made me worse in the sense of I developed severe OCD tendencies. I started to self-harm and cut myself. I cut myself in front of my children, in front of one child, Kira, at one point. I would see things. I don't know. There is a terminology for this. I would see things. I would hear things. Let's just say there was depression and then there's a major breakdown. I had a major breakdown. I went to hospital, a private hospital, after some time. After, at this point I was seeing a psychologist. My family and my ex-husband, my first husband, didn't know what to do, which is understandable, let's be honest. If you've never dealt with someone who, like myself, where I've had other mental health episodes, then you might know what the fuck to do, to be honest. And I didn't know because I was a complete mess. I did want help. I did try to kill myself through taking too much medication. I eventually ended up in a private facility, and I believe I stayed there, I think it was at least 3 months. I think it was at least 3 months I stayed there. Whilst I was there at the hospital, I was put on new medication. So at the time before hospital, I was put on, I don't know the name, but it didn't react with me very well and made me completely loopy. I was taken off that and I was put on Avanza, which completely changed everything for me as a medication. I was still taking Valium, was the other medication, and that's another story for another day. Like I said, whilst I was in hospital, I only actually saw my husband. Actually, I never saw my husband during the course of my hospital stay ever. I think he may have seen me once. I'm trying to think because it's blurry, to be honest. I did not see my children at all in that 3-month period, including my 4-month-old son. Didn't know what was happening, didn't care. I met and became friends with multiple people in there. I met another man in there and started a sexual relationship with that person. I had an epiphany, which I've talked about. That's a crystal in the background, by the way. I had an epiphany that during a group that I wasn't in love with my husband at all. I was miserable, apart from being miserable about everything else that was happening in my life, but I was miserable. I left the hospital. My husband picked me up. A week later, I told my husband that I was separating from him. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what I was going to do, where I was going to live, everything. I didn't know. I didn't know. At that time, I didn't work, pre or post hospital. I think my income was a Centrelink benefit. I then basically lived in a granny flat in our backyard. I believe it was maybe a year or more. And then it did take quite some time to get to a point where, what was I going to say? In that time, I was on medication while at home. My husband and I were separated. We weren't together in any way, shape or form. I think I moved out. I can't remember. And this again, it was hazy. I did remember I moved out for a period of time and moved back, or did I move out and then I moved somewhere else? I'm not sure about that or the sequence of events because it was at that time very cloudy. I didn't create it. It just happened. I became addicted to Valium. It was my crutch. It became a full-blown addiction. At the time, I was in a dialectical behavioural therapy group in Newcastle. I was in that group for a year. I still lived, like I said, I think for a short time I moved out and moved back into the granny flat. I can't remember the sequence. I remember, actually that is the sequence. Thinking about it, I moved out. I had to move back because the relationship I had with the person who I lived with, it just didn't work out. I think something happened to do with money or something like that. And yeah, I just wasn't happy and I ended up moving back. And I think at that time, I'm trying to think if Matt is my first husband, by the way, if we attempted to kind of reestablish our relationship. By that time, I was no longer in the relationship with that person I met in the hospital. I don't even know if it was what you could deem a relationship, to be honest. It was more friends with benefits, shall we say. Yes, it was kind of a relationship, but it was a twisted relationship, to be honest. Anyway, after a year of being in therapy by near the end and having a full-blown Valium addiction, I did come to a point where I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I did attempt to kill myself again, taking too much Valium. I then basically said enough is enough and pleaded for help basically because I wanted help. I booked myself into a mental hospital on purpose, basically walked in and said I'm booking myself into a public mental ward, that is, so that I could go to a detox centre, which did happen after 3 days or 4 days being in this public mental ward in Newcastle, and I can't think of the name of the hospital, but it was horrendous. That I ended up in rehab. I stayed at this rehab facility for 2 weeks. I was in rehab for addiction to benzodiazepine, which is, is the family of medication that Valium falls under, and clonazepam. I came out and I've never touched Valium again. I came out and I immediately, a week after I think I left rehab, I moved from the granny flat into my own place. I also at that same time went through a settlement with who became my ex-husband basically. When I say to you that was years of torture, and when I say to you I came out the other side and what I accomplished was fucking amazing, even to say out loud that I still remember, the Valium and, I was thinking that basically I was a ghost living in a world where I was a ghost and completely numb, and to go to rehab and to put myself through what I needed to do to get there and come out and then completely shift my life. And then it was literally maybe 3 months later that I actually met my husband now at a workplace. Yeah, and when I sit here and I talk about it, and there's still a level of self-punishment for all of that, all of that happened. And I forgive myself. I'm forgiving myself. I need to forgive myself. I am forgiving myself. I acknowledge that I got through it. Yes, there's things I'm still guilty and feel guilty about and will always feel guilty about, which is my children. In the, days of our lives drama that was all of that, I had 3 children who I basically, to save my own self, I abandoned because I wanted to live, and I didn't know any other way to live than make the decision to leave my ex-husband and to leave my family. There was a period of time where I would see my children on and off. It became increasingly harder for me to do that. I was completely unsupported by my family, any friends that I used to have. my ex-family on my husband's side or ex-husband's side. I abandoned them and I was abandoned. And this could say, and it is, a running theme in my life, abandonment. And yeah, I sit here and I'm telling you this because I'm now, like I said, I'm 51. This happened in my early 30s. You know, my father abandoning me as a child. I don't know the reasons why he did that. You know, I can be angry at him, you know, as much as I want to. But in the end, why? When I don't even know why. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. I mean, I read my state ward file. That doesn't really tell me why. And I'm sure at the time, being, you know, the 70s, there wasn't much around, you know, trying to reconcile either, to be honest. My father was Danish and my mum was Aboriginal. It was a very different time in the 70s. I know they wouldn't have got the support that we even have today, and there's still not enough support, to be honest. If I talk about my foster parents who did their best to raise me and they gave me a home, but they were never really my parents. And even though there was a connection, there was no connection. I was very different to who they were. And it is what it is. And why am I still angry at them? They are who they were. I mean, my father has passed away. My mum, as far as I know, is still alive. I don't know where she is really. I don't have a relationship with her. The last time I reached out to my parents was when my father passed away, which I only found out because it was in the newspaper. So I don't have a relationship there. I don't have a relationship with my children. I do, you know, sometimes I'll be scrolling Facebook and see what they're doing. I don't talk about my children. As you would understand, it would be and is, not would be, it is a very difficult conversation for me to talk about at all. And you might read this. You might listen to this podcast and think, Amanda, why are you even talking about this? Why are you doing this today? And you know what? Fuck it. Why? This is it. This is me. Why pretend it's not who I am? This is it. This is me, all of it. This was part of my life and still is. And I'm no longer willing to berate myself internally, because that's what I'm doing subconsciously, for things that have happened. So there's things that, you know, I can't control. I can't control depression. It happened. I couldn't control an addiction. It happened. But I got over that, which, again, I don't even know how I did, considering what happened, but I did. And instead of focusing on all the fucking shit that I've gone through and gone, fuck yeah, I internalize all the pain and I'm done. I'm done doing it. So this is my story, and I'm talking about it today because today being the 10th of March 2024, I wanted to talk about this because I'm saying to you, moving forward, I forgive myself with grace and with humility and with kindness and with awareness and with just openness and heart, with open heart and with love for myself. I forgive myself. Now, you might listen to this podcast and you might be like, I don't know what you'll do actually, and I don't give a fuck. You know, I was about to say you might do this or you might do that or you might think this or might think that. Who cares what you think? I care that you listen to this podcast. I'm not going to lie. I say these things because I'm being honest. And I would like to think that anyone who listens to my podcast honestly wants to hear what I have to say with an open heart, full stop. If that's not you, then don't listen. Go fuck yourself. No, that's what it is. This is it. This is no ifs, buts, whens, hows, maybes, whatever. This is it. So, yeah. That was a very quick, I was going to say pronunciation. That's not the word I was looking for. And it's not snapshot. There is another word, but I can't think of it. Synopsis? Is that the word? Of some of the things that I know have, created a well of despair. Sounds deep. Well of despair in my life. To the sense where instead of, let's go there. Instead of using the excuse and shutting myself off and not engaging with the person at work, because it's just easier to do that, because I'm hurt and I'm frustrated, I'm angry at that person. Instead of just saying, look, yeah, you've pissed me off because of this. Now, if I was to say to you that probably wouldn't be advantageous for a work relationship, then you would be correct. If you were to say it is a core value of mine not to just go off the handle at people willy-nilly, that would also be correct. So I am mindful of that. I am also mindful, like I said, with some things I've had a bit more of a ponder over on the weekend, or this weekend, that how would that person even know that I was pissed at them? Because I've never told them. I have never spoke to the person and said to this person, look, you doing this does this to me, or I feel this way because you don't do this. I'm just letting you know I don't expect you to change, even though I'd like you to. I don't expect you to change, even though I really want you to. But I want you to know how I feel. The end. And you can have a conversation like that. Now, I don't have conversations like that because they scare the shit out of me, to be honest. And yet I sit here today and I want to let go and just stop being angry and forgive. So does forgiveness then mean I need to start going back to all these people and saying, A, B, C? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but I do know what I can control and speak on today, and that is how I feel. And in the end, how you feel and how you interact and how you manage and succumb or not to, or create your wall, your giant ice walls, or, drown yourself in alcohol or smoke weed or fucking eat too much cake or, I don't know, all of it, right? Spend too much money, gamble your money away, all of it. I was going to say, you do you, boo. Why do I do this? You do you, boo. No. I don't want to be condescending. I would say to you that, maybe think about it. Maybe have a think about it, because I certainly have been thinking about it a lot, and I've certainly been thinking about it a lot over the last 2 days. And bringing it back, I am setting and have set an intention to forgive myself. That intention has been delivered to what I believe is the universe, who I believe will guide me in the direction I need to. I would say to you, if you need help with that, then reach out to people who can help you. If that be you doing the work yourself, if that would mean going to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist or your general practitioner, if that meant speaking to your partner or a friend, if that meant speaking to God and asking him for help, as I today asked for help, because I don't want to be angry anymore inside. I don't want to be angry anymore inside. So, yeah, that's why I just talked about what I talked about today. There is other things I can talk about more in depth. I would like to talk more in depth about the rehab process. I know anything like a drug addiction, may that be drugs or alcohol or cigarettes, I think from someone who has been through it, and like I said, I was in rehab for 2 weeks and I've never touched the drug ever again. When I say to you that if you know anyone who has been through that kind of distress in their life and come out the other side and conquered that, then there's probably things that person could teach you and help you with. And I'll actually come back to one of the driving forces for me, which I've mentioned in this podcast, is just be yourself and sharing who you are. Now, you might say, Amanda, who gives a fuck what you have to say? And I'd say, fuck you. And fuck off. No, look, you can listen to what I have to say. You can't. I would say to you, there's how many hundreds of thousands of people just like myself who could have just gone through the exact same situations in their entire life, just as much I have. There could be hundreds of thousands of people who've never had anything happen in their life, ever, which, thank you to you. You're lucky. Or are you? I mean, you are. But yet I can sit here wholeheartedly and say that I wouldn't be the person I am with a huge heart, with love and compassion and understanding, if I hadn't gone through all the shit that I'd gone through. I know when I say that out loud, I don't think I was ever an arsehole. I'm trying to think, as a child, was I an arsehole? No, I don't think I was. Would I say I was always, pretty good? Yeah, I was pretty cool. I would say to you, as I've got older and older and older and more comfortable with who I am as a person and just being myself and, yeah, just coming to a place where sitting here in the forge, I still don't know about the name, eh? Just having a quick drink break, smashed a pineapple. Oh, shit, that's open. It's on my laptop. Dramatic. I just spilt something on my laptop, by the way. I'm just going to wipe it because now I'm paranoid. What was I saying? After I so rudely spilt cider on my fucking laptop, I had my apple cider open. I'm just going to have a quick drink break. You might, talking about why am I saying this? I'm saying it for my own benefit, really. I mean, I have said this. I'm not just doing this because, I'm just blurting it all out and think it's, fun and games, shits and giggles. This is a difficult conversation. I'm not walking around, in my everyday life at work, as an example, telling people that I went to rehab for Valium addiction, as an example, okay? This podcast is my voice. This is it. My opportunity to share with you my voice, my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, everything, with honesty and integrity. Could I say to you I'm being honest 100% of the time? Probably not. Sometimes I've had to, I was going to say dumb it down, but that's not the word. I've had to, I don't know, give the edited version because it's been too painful. But I don't want to today be like that. I'm going for it. So I would say to you, do you want to come along with me? Because I'd really like that a lot. So thank you to those who do actually listen to this podcast. I don't know if you have your own podcast, but I don't know if you know this as well, but through Buzzsprout, the platform who's my streaming service that I use that then streams out my podcast to other platforms like Spotify, hey, then I do have information that tells me who downloads. I don't know who you are, but it tells me what countries downloads are in. I will again say to the people who do listen overseas, in particular in America, thank you to those who do. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to me ramble on. For anyone who listens to my podcasts, if you ever want to reach out to me, you can. My email address is info@thetequilahour.com.au. If you want to talk about social handles, Instagram's the place where you will find me, which the handle being the Tequila Hour, and I also do have the Tequila Hour YouTube channel as well. I'll just end this and say that I have discussed very personal things today. I would say to you, if you are struggling in your life with anything relating to mental health or relating to any addiction, that I would highly recommend that you seek a help by speaking to someone or getting medical assistance with that. And I will leave it there today. Thank you. Hope you have an awesome weekend. And I look forward to recording a podcast next Tuesday, and I'll let you know all about it. Anyway, thank you, and I will catch you next time. Bye.